Statement.
Yeah.
Excited to be here. Got down, traveled from Clarksburg. It was a wonderful flight. Got in the hotel. Everybody has treated us like kings. We're really excited to get going. Had a great practice today. We're going to head back home, get off our feet, have our guys recover, go to a big league steakhouse, and enjoy the atmosphere and be able to get ready for a ball game tomorrow.
Coach, I think y'all lead the nation in wins on the road this year for whatever reason that might be, having to play more, whatever. But what's allowed y'all to get that many wins this year?
I think part of it, you have to play a ton of road games to begin with. So geographically, we have to go on the road early in the year because of weather. So our team is certainly battle tested on the road. It's hard to lead the country in road wins regardless of how many you play. That's certainly a factor. Our guys are gritty. Coming to West Virginia, you're in for a lot of different elements when you train and when you practice. So our guys have been through the ringer. So this time of year, no class, great weather. They're excited to play. I feel like early on, even in the fall, we choose to play 2 games on the road in the fall just because we know that's what we're going to do. And so this has become very normal for us to go on the road and eat hotel eggs and sleep on bad pillows and everything else. That's kind of part of our deal.
How noisy was it when y'all beat Clemson and the issues with the bullpen, some kids in the bullpen, your bullpen?
I like that you call them issues. I agree with issues. I think they need to fix that deal. Very loud. I think it was 8,000 fans at Clemson. They're excited. It's an awesome atmosphere. It's a little bit more like a minor league atmosphere, I think, than here. When I've watched ball games here, they don't pump as much music into the stadium. The crowd here is ruckus and really into the game, but it's more of a traditional college baseball setting. At Clemson, it's kind of that minor league thing where it's offensive oriented. Every time that there's a ball or a walk or a hit, the music gets louder. And so it's a little bit of like an artificial heart rate increase, I think, for pitchers and for defenders. The bullpen thing's bogus at Clemson. They've got it so close to the bullpen that you have drunk frat guys that can. Yeah, it's like general seating or what do they call that? Beer garden, general seating. So you can get so close, and it's a net where as a pitcher's warming up, someone could actually grab a pitcher's arm. And so I'm all for environment. It's just that as somebody was warming up, somebody could actually reach out and grab an arm and potentially. I don't want to say that. I don't know that for certain. It's close enough to be able to do that. So I think as a pitcher's warming up psychologically, if you feel like you're in danger, you may adjust your mechanics or you may feel like it's too tight. So there probably needs to be a rule in place just to control that a little bit.
And Jay Johnson said that he talked to you about possibly being an assistant coach here when he first got here in 21. What do you remember about that?
Yeah, I've just always really respected Jay. He does it right. That guy is a workhorse. So he outworks everybody, and that's why he's in the position that he's in. And I've always respected what he's done. He's self-made guy that recruits, that hustles, that works really, really hard. So I've always had a great relationship with him. We've talked in the past about players, about staff, about opportunities, all those kind of things, just because he does it the right way. I think he respects how I do it, and I really respect how he does it.
Did you almost take the job? Or?
No, I don't get into all that kind of stuff.
No problem.
You talked about having been through the ringer. I think you have 11 players who played on the field in the Super last year back on this year's roster. How much does that help, having been through this one time in a road Super?
We'll find out. Who knows? But we breaking through to get to the Supers was certainly a huge step for our program. First time in program history. So when you start doing some of that stuff for the first time in 130, 135 years, players start to expect excellence and they believe that they can win. And a program that hadn't done that a ton until the last decade, that's the biggest battle, is having kids in the locker room believe that you can beat anybody.
Are you ready to announce the pitching rotation for this weekend yet, or?
We're going to start Griffin Kern tomorrow, and that's all we know at this point.
Steve, with Griffin pitching a little bit on Sunday, not a lot of pitches, but as you mentioned, he's a starter. He warms up a different way, throws a lot to warm up. Does that affect Tim Minnie, the way he worked this week, and play into your decision at all?
He started on Friday and then closed the game on Sunday. So he wanted to work just like his regular routine and get back into it, throw bullpens, foam roll, long toss, and we actually backed him off a little bit. He loves to work, he loves to prepare, and so we actually said, dude, you're going to be in a great spot. You can command the ball, you got great feel, you've thrown a ton of innings. You need to back off physically a little bit this week because you threw twice and you never do that. And so he had a much shorter bullpen. When things change and circumstances change, you got to make sure you adjust. And I think he was ready to go full steam ahead on his regular work week, but we backed him off a little bit.
How have you guys been dealing with the heat here? I know it gets hot in West Virginia in the summer too. How have you been dealing with that?
We've kind of made it a joke. We keep saying the most hydrated team wins and, and like stuff like that, just trying to get through to the kids. Like we just mentioned, as circumstances change, you have to adjust in the game if you want to be prepared. And the reality is that this is different than what we've played in. It's extremely hot and it's humid, so you have to do things to mitigate, those circumstances. And so I think our guys are in a good spot. Our strength coach, Chandler Geller, he's an animal. I mean, it is constant electrolyte drinks and cherry juices and protein shakes, and he's really looking after our guys.
Steve, two-parter from me. When do you have to officially turn in the roster? And will there be any changes from last week?
I don't know that answer. I think it's a couple hours before the game starts. Joey Cuomo, he runs this whole place. He's our director of operations, so I'll be getting a text from him before I need to do that. I think we're going to put Gavin Van Kempen on the roster this week. He's traveled with us. He traveled with us last week, and he wasn't on the 27-man, and we anticipate putting him on.
From an offensive standpoint, you guys don't have a lot of home runs, but you can still score in bunches. Saw that in the last regional. What allows this offense to succeed when things are going right for you?
I think we have more power than we've shown. We can drive the ball. We have less home runs. Our field plays a little bit larger, probably than most fields. When we're going good, we're executing our offense. I think our strikeout numbers are very, very low, so we're hard to strike out. We put the ball in play. We're top 50 in the country in stolen bases, so we always have the stolen base threat, and we bunt well. Average-wise, I think we're upper echelon when it comes to batting average, so we have guys that can hit more doubles power than home run power. We steal bases and put pressure on the defense.
How was Gavin's health?
Good. That was kind of the big concern going into this. He was getting healthy, and it had been 2 or 3 weeks since we had to pull him out of a game with a little bit of a shoulder issue, but he threw a sim game, and the ball was coming out well, and he's currently healthy.
Coach, you talked about some of the problems you guys faced in Clemson with the bullpen. How do you think that almost kind of prepares you guys for what's going to be a pretty loud environment this weekend?
It's great, and I don't want to blow it out of proportion. It wasn't a problem. Our guys competed well, pitched well. We swept a regional, and so I don't want to turn it into a distraction for what we're trying to do here. But you're exactly right. It certainly prepared us. The environment in every way, just from getting off the bus and the fans being close to the bullpen and the excitement and the music. I think you want to put yourself in as many of those situations as possible. This environment is incredible. This will be something that is great for our kids, but going to Clemson before we came here certainly puts us in a better situation than going to a quiet golf clap community that was a little bit more aggressive.
Do you think your team has almost sort of embraced that road dog type of mentality going on the road to Clemson and now heading here to compete? Do you think they've sort of taken that nail on a little bit?
I know they have, and that's not only from the season, that's the entire mentality of the state. It's incredibly blue collar. People value hard work, they value grit, they value overcoming adversity, and so I know our team has embodied those characteristics as well.
Steve, your reaction to the send-off you got at the airport?
I was
a bit surprised.
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah, so we were rolling into the Clarksburg Airport. West Virginia baseball doesn't always fly charter. That was we don't do that very often, and so we got 2 buses. Administration treated us like kings, and we were going to charter in a 71-man charter flight, which was awesome. As we were rolling into the airport, there was probably 50 people, kids, a lot of young kids with signs, saying "Go Skylar King" and "Go Kyle West," and it was incredible. We drove by them, and I had never been to that airport, never flown out of that airport before. So I thought they'd be able to come and shake our hands next to the plane, that kind of thing. But you get inside a security gate, and so we parked, and I was like, man, we got to find a way. And we ended up talking the security guards to walk us over to the fans, and all of them came up to the chain link, and people were taking pictures and shaking everybody's hands. It was just so cool. That's West Virginia. They're so proud of the Mountaineers, and when people have success that are Mountaineers in that state, everybody rallies behind it. It doesn't matter if it's golf or women's soccer or baseball or swim and dive or football. People are so into WVU in that state, and so it was awesome. My little girl Charlie and I have a 4-year-old boy Tucker. Their best friends Rhett and Kinley drove down with the Foxes, and the Foxes, he's my son's t-ball coach, and they drove 45 minutes to the airport, and so my kids were all juiced up because their buddies were outside the chain link fence for the send-off. So it meant the world to me, and I know it meant the world to the kids.
As you're trying to build your program, trying to get to the World Series, here they got it on the wall in the team room in Omaha, and they got all these the championship, the billboard and all that. What is how do you try to make it the goal, or have y'all talked about it a lot? You're trying to get to the College World Series. I mean, obviously now you're trying to, but in the course of the season or at the start of every season.
We talked about it once to begin the season. We talked about what the ultimate goal was, and so you're either playing for artificial trophies along the way, or you're trying to play for a national championship. And so we discussed that as a team, that if we want to be really, really good, you got to play for a national championship. We said, all right, now moving forward, we're never going to talk about that again, because that has to be the goal. That's the ultimate goal, but it's not going to do us any good to talk about that in the team room every day. What's actually required is doing everything right consistently, whether that's eating, sleeping, training, playing, thinking, scouting reports, and all those meticulous details that actually go into winning. And so we said we're going to cut out the Omaha and the breaking out Omaha and all that stuff that means nothing, and we're going to actually try to handle the details on a regular basis to allow us to be in a position to win at a high level. And so these kids believe in that, and they know what it actually takes to win, and they've been working really hard to try to do that.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.